Hello everyone! Well, let's continue our look at the Universal movie monsters with The Invisible Man. On a snowy night, a mysterious stranger, his face swathed in bandages and his eyes obscured by dark goggles, takes room at the Lion's Head Inn in the English village of Iping in Sussex. The man demands that he be left alone. Later, the innkeeper, Mr. Hall, is sent by his wife to evict the stranger after he makes a huge mess in his room while doing research and falls behind on his rent. Angered, the stranger throws Mr. Hall down the stairs. Confronted by policemen and some local villagers, he removes his bandages and goggles, revealing that he is invisible. Laughing maniacally, he takes off his clothes, making himself completely undetectable, and drives off his tormentors before fleeing into the countryside. The stranger is Dr. Jack Griffin, a chemist who has discovered the secret of invisibility while conducting a series of tests involving an obscure drug called monocaine. Flora Cranley, Griffin's fiancée and the daughter of Griffin's employer, Dr. Cranley, becomes distraught over Griffin's long absence. Cranley and his other assistant, Dr. Kemp, search Griffin's empty laboratory, finding only a single note in a cupboard. Cranley becomes concerned when he reads it. On the list of chemicals is monocaine, which Cranley knows is extremely dangerous. An injection of it drove a dog mad in Germany. Griffin, it seems, is unaware of this, having learned about monocaine in English books printed before the incident. On the evening of his escape from the inn, Griffin turns up at the Kemp's home. He forces Kemp to become his visible partner in a plot to dominate the world through a reign of terror, commencing with a few murders here and there. They drive back to the inn to retrieve his notebooks on the invisibility process. Sneaking inside, Griffin finds a police inquiry underway, conducted by an official who believes it is all a hoax. After securing his books, he attacks and kills the officer. Back home, Kemp first calls Cranley, asking for help, and then the police. Flora persuades her father to let her come along. In her presence, Griffin becomes more placid and calls her darling. When he realizes Kemp has betrayed him, his first reaction is to get Flora away from danger. After promising Kemp that at 10 o'clock the next night he will murder him, Griffin escapes and goes on a killing spree. It causes the derailment of a train, resulting in 100 deaths, and there was 2 volunteer searchers off a cliff. The police offer a reward for anyone who could think of a way to catch the Invisible Man. Yeah, like that's possible. The chief detective in charge of the search uses Kemp as bait, feeling Griffin will try to fulfill his promise, and devises various clever traps. At Kemp's insistence, the police disguise him in a police uniform and let him drive his car away from his house. Griffin, however, is hiding in the back seat of the car. He overpowers Kemp and ties him up in the front seat. Griffin then sends the car down a steep hill and over a cliff, where it explodes on impact. Yeesh. Griffin seeks shelter from a snowstorm at a barn. The farmer hears snoring and sees the hay, in which Griffin is sleeping, moving. The man notifies the police. The police surround the building and set fire to the barn. When Griffin comes out, the chief detective sees his footprints in the snow and opens fire, mortally wounding him. Griffin is taken to the hospital where, on his deathbed, he admits to Flora that he had tampered with something that was meant to be left alone. You think? After he dies, his body gradually becomes visible again. Ooh. Well, anyway, let's look at some production elements of this movie. Claude Rains was not the studio's first choice to play the lead role in The Invisible Man. Boris Karloff was originally supposed to play the part, but withdrew after producer Carl Laemmle Jr. tried too many times to cut Karloff's contractual salary. To replace Karloff, Chester Morris, Paul Lucas, and Colin Clive were considered for the part. It was James Whale, who was assigned to direct the film to replace Cyril Gardner, who wanted Claude Rains to play Griffin. Rains was his first choice. Problems in developing the script held up the project for some time. In June 1932, the film was called off temporarily. The Invisible Man was in production from June to August 1933 at Universal Studios. Filming was interrupted near the end by a fire, started by a smudge pot kicked into some hay, which damaged an exterior set. The film was released on November 13, 1933, and was marketed with taglines, "Catch me if you can," and H.G. Wells' fantastic sensation. Although the basic framework of the story and the characters' names are largely the same as in the novel, there are several great differences. The novel takes place in the 1890s, while the film takes place in 1933. The novel, Griffin, the Invisible Man, remains almost a totally mysterious person, with no fiancé or friends. In the film, he is engaged to a beautiful woman and has the support of her father and his associate. In the novel, Griffin is already insane before he makes himself invisible, and he is entirely motivated by a lust for power. In the film, Griffin is driven mad by the drug that makes him invisible. Dr. Kemp survives in the novel. His life is saved by those who ultimately kill Griffin. In the film, Dr. Kemp is terrified throughout, and pays for betraying Griffin with his life. The film is known for its clever and groundbreaking visual effects by John P. Fulton, John J. Miskell, and Frank D. Williams. This work is often credited for the success of the film. When the Invisible Man had no clothes on, the effect was achieved through the use of wires, but when he had some of his clothes on or was taking his clothes off, the effect was achieved by shooting Claude Rains in a completely black velvet suit against a black velvet background, and then combining this shot with another shot of the location the scene took place in using a matte process. Claude Rains was claustrophobic, and it was hard to breathe through the suit. Consequently, the work was especially difficult for him, and a double, who was so much shorter than Rains, was sometimes used. The effect of Rains seeming to disappear was created by making head and body casts of the actor, from which a mask was made. The mask was then photographed against a specially prepared background, and the film was treated in the laboratory to complete the effect. Interesting. Well, pretty scientifically, pretty sci-fi slash orphan, I guess you could say. I give The Invisible Man 5 jack-o'-lanterns out of 5. Well, join me tomorrow as The Invisible Man returns. So, until then, see you guys.